Oh, hello everybody, and welcome to another stream. I've been away last week for some of the Easter holidays, and yeah, here we are. So I wanted to show a little bit of. I didn't get to do a lot of work, almost any, but I wanted to show a little bit of the stuff that I've done before going on this short vacation. Well, not vacation, but just kind of away from my PC type of trip. And one of the things that I was working on is kind of the stealth takedowns. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the movement in the takedown to look a little bit more natural, as well as the animations to play a little bit better. As far as how the camera is placed. Remember, like we were looking at entering the vehicle and trying to get that animation to actually to have the camera from the ALS to stick with the character, right? So when you enter the car, it's not just like a kind of a slide in, but it actually follows kind of the movement of the body itself. And I was trying to do the same thing for the stealth takedown, and here is a little bit of the results. The animation is still not perfect because I still need to edit make some changes, but at the moment, it looks a little bit better. So um, I'm still working on that part to make it actually um, to make it actually play. Looks like for this particular grapple sequence is it is not taking in I think it only works properly. So what I am using is I'm using this grapple component, which is a pretty very useful tool. And the grapple component, oops, that's the player stats, that's not the right one. Um, it has all these grapple data, and what that helps with is you can set up the animation montages, a bunch of settings like repositioning the characters depending on your particular grapple sequence. So what I was trying to do, I was trying to use the anim sequence instead of the montage because it's a lot easier to edit anim sequence, but I cannot see how I can set up so that it actually uses the sequence and not the montage. So I'm just going to try and get back to the montage and use that. And I'll show you how it currently looks. Let me try and apply the montage here. All right, so let's clear this up. So that should look kind of like this. As you can see, they're not perfectly positioned, so that's what I'm trying to make happen. And I'm not entirely sure why this guy did not go into Ragdoll. Let's see. So here's the stat. And basically, what happens is when I interact with this guy, there's the montage being played, and then kind of the death happening for the enemy, and then I'm just reverting to my main camera as I was saying. I'm switching to that montage camera so that that montage camera is attached to the head, so it plays on with the animation. So like the camera moves with the animation, and that way then and right once the enemy my kind of the takedown sequence is complete, I'm just reverting back to that. So yeah, this is how it's supposed to behave, and then the enemy ends up just in a ragdoll state. So right now, if I mean, you can still kind of it still has a little bit of collision. So if you were to like hit him with like a projectile, it would move around or kind of bounce around. Yeah, so let's try this again and see how it, because I think consistency is the main thing behind it, right? So right now I'm like behind the enemy, and I kind of just grab him from the back of the neck, and just take him down. So there he goes. So let's do it without that breakpoint, or like kind of stopping the action. So that's kind of interesting. It didn't go into like a full ragdoll. And I'm wondering why that might be. So what happens with the grapple component, it has this function where it's kind of like on initiate. So after, on my case, I've set it to 1.5 seconds. After that has run down, this custom event is being called, and I'm getting the target participant, which is 1, the main player being 0. And then I can call some kind of, just in this case, killing that the enemy, and then in the case of the main character, reverting to the main camera. But I'm not entirely sure why this one doesn't get triggered properly. So let me see if I can do a delay in here. Actually, I'm not entirely sure if I can get a delay in since in this one particular. So let's follow the trail of the set player dead stat. So as you can see here, I have a delay if the death is not instant. So let's try and uncheck that. And go at it again. The only problem with this is, and I've tried this before, is that while it works, it kind of just tosses this guy around like that. So it does go into ragdoll, but it also um, gets kind of chucked like a puppet. And that part I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's, you know, due to the ragdoll, this is still being physicalized and it has collisions, so it is interacting with the main character capsule. Um, Let me try and set this delay a lot lower if it's an instant death. So I'm gonna try and set it to zero point 0.2, just kind of like the default delay. All right, so yes, he still gets tossed around. And when it's like this, whoa, it still got thrown all the way out there. Oh, actually, I forgot to uncheck this instant death. So, and yeah, let's try that because I did forget to put it in. So I'm gonna do that really short delay in here and see if that's gonna at least not make it so worse. I'm okay with it kind of flopping a little bit, but not to the point of so I can deal with that as long as it's consistent. So let me try and put another couple more of these enemies here. So, and see how that, hopefully they don't notice me. All right, so at least that's consistent. He's in ragdoll. That guy as well. So pretty consistent as far as the deaths go. Uh, the um, the only thing is um, I kind of liked it how it was done at first. So, but kind of the inconsistency was a little bit, it didn't seem to, it seems now we have 3 of these guys. Let's see if, yeah, so that one went as I would like it to go. Let's see if this one similar for that. But this one not so much. It's kind of stuck into that falling out of the airplane type of I'm not sure, like parachuting. But so that's that part I'm not too happy with. But that's a little bit of the update. And what I was trying to do is, as you can see, when I do interact with this guy, the camera, even though it's so the camera is placed on the head, and the head is playing along with the montage, it's still not perfect. It kind of clips through the enemy. And what I was doing, this grapple component package comes with a set of animations already in, and they're actually they match pretty well. The problem is, especially like in this one, which is really up close, is that, and of course, the first person aspect of things, that is, um, um, you know, you have to adjust let me pull that up and kind of show it to you. So this being the animation itself that the montage is generated from, trying to adjust the position of the neck and the head so that the camera that's attached to the head is not clipping through things. So um, I've tried to modify some of these bones so they're not as exaggerated, when it comes to the neck, but it's still like, let's see, I think right at the beginning, so maybe right around this point is where it's kind of going through a little too much. So let's see in here, maybe what I'll do is I'll actually just try and move the head a little bit back. And let's add a key in here. So now let's see how that looks. So it's kind of, okay, so it's not moving forward. Oh, but it is over there. Hey, Darkside, welcome, welcome. Hello. Um, so let's see, how can we make this a little bit smoother? I'm going to try and delete this, remove this track. So this just kind of start from scratch a little bit. So I think right from the get-go when it goes in for the attack, let's move this up and back. So let's add a key there. So that's going to keep with the animation. And then at this point, it kind of goes back way too much. I mean, the rotation of it is way too exaggerated. I mean, okay, that's a one point to be exaggerated, and it looks good probably in third person, but in first person, you're gonna look at the ceiling, which is not perfect. Um, so I'm not really making animations. This is some animations that have come with this grapple component that I'm using, and but I'm trying to adjust them a little bit, by adding some of these keys for particular bones to make them look better when it comes to first person, because the package itself was mostly done for third person, and so I'm just trying to adjust these to be more of a like first person, and trying to make it so that um, there's no clipping through the enemy. So let's see how this looks. I've moved the neck back a little bit, and adjusted the rotation of the neck once the animation is kind of towards the middle point, where it's kind of like right here. So it doesn't you're not looking like completely at the ceiling. You're still seeing the head of the enemy. And let's see how that would work. I'm gonna need to recreate the animation montage real quick, and let's see, where is this? It's this in here. So this one, let's create animation montage, and let's see how that works. So this one is montage one, and each one of um, these grapple sequences, they have their own set of settings, and where we generate the global grapple data for the participant. We have the two participants. I think there could be more than one participant in one of these grapple sequences, but in my case, I'm just having two. So let's try montage the second variant, and see how this might look. Oh, actually, I forgot to set this to be the full body for the ALS system. All right, so let's try this again. Oh, that's already looking a lot better. There's no clipping, which is already a some move forward. And I think what could we can try doing is actually moving this a little closer to the enemy so that the hands are hopefully in front of his neck and not behind him. So let's try this out. I think that's a little too far forward. Let's do maybe -40. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. I need to make it play a little bit longer, so there's a couple of adjustments that I need to make, but I think it already works quite a bit better. And again, like I said, the part where it's um, the ragdolling, it also needs to be solved a little bit to make it work, make it look a little bit better. But um, right now it does work pretty well. Aside from this ragdoll pose, which ends up kind of awkward. Um, so that's a couple of the adjustments that I need to make. Just it's going to be a little bit of trial and error. So yeah, that was one of the updates that I wanted to show, and the other one, let's jump into the main level. Let's see where that is here. I've worked a little bit on kind of selecting the vegetation for the world and trying to make it um, I've reduced quite a lot of the trees that I was using because I just felt like a little bit too much overkill, and trying to reduce some of the draw calls. Um, so let's wanted to show you what I ended up with, and also try to do a little bit of practice with creating some of these areas where there might be some like these rocky outcrops, yeah. Um, and trying to find kind of a rock that would work a little bit better with that. And also, an attempt that I've had was um, to try and paint slope with that would, if there's any gaps or like these rock meshes don't gel together very well, that um, having the slope rock would kind of address that. But I think with the rock still looks a little bit better, so I might just keep using them. And also I've kind of try to for the bigger walls, like kind of the bigger sections. I'm using some of these more simplified meshes. I'm not sure, it's kind of hard to tell, but that I have with with the bunker, with the cave, not the cave, but kind of the entrance to the bunker, through those excavations. And this is, a lot simpler of a mesh as well. So, uh, but with once the texture is on it, I think it works out pretty good. And so that was part of it. And the other thing that I was trying to get a little bit practice on is kind of the edges of the map. And this is just I was trying to prototype something in here as to when you reach the edge of the map that you're not going to be able to move past it. So this is kind of some of that practice run, and as you can see, these are those flat meshes that are pretty simple polygon wise. Um, and of course, the other part was just trying to place some trees around here. This is one of the not sure if it's like an issue with the package or why this thing is shown here at the top. I'm assuming it's something that has to do with the shader. It's there are some really good starter shaders in this Nordic Conifer Biome package. I mean, they're not uh, um, I'm not sure if like I said, what this is coming from. If it's because it works fine where you're looking at it at a kind of a on the same height with the camera, but once you kind of go below it, they got this kind of honkiness to it. I'm not entirely sure why that is, whereas it's got this little, I'm not sure what to call it, but this end at the top. So yeah, that's something to fix. Like I said, great package. A lot of packages on the marketplace are great, but you'll definitely, you know, find something that you need to fix in the end. All right, so yeah, as you can see, there's a little bit less of variety in trees. I only have three types of trees going on at the moment, and also worked out a little bit, kind of some of the ground vegetation as well. Just adding some of these flowers. I thought that it would, kind of bring in some color, and I do like them that way. Um, and adjusted some of the way these trees are being planted or not. Yeah, I guess planted is the word to use because you're planting them with the procedural foliage volume. And I've only placed them on a particular layer. I've actually created a quick video on how I do that. And so that way, I think the way they're being, placed around the map, I think works a little bit better. Also, from a performance standpoint, I've noticed that it actually works pretty well um, once you're inside, once you're in the game. And sometimes having it simpler, to me at least, I kind of like it more than having 50 types of trees. I'm not sure. I mean, especially when it comes to these type of conifer biomes. Um, yeah, and a little bit easier to manage as well when it comes to um, the procedural foliage volumes and on. So yeah, so that was another update that I wanted to share. And now I'm quite happy with how this looks. Adjusted the lighting a little bit as well. Um, let's see if I change this time of day to sunset. Still looking pretty decent. Um, let's see, nighttime, if there's going to be a nighttime. That works out okay as well. So yeah, having those flowers, I think, adds a little bit, because it's got this kind of a little bit of a shine to them, especially at nighttime. And just throwing in that additional color, I think it helps quite a bit with the environment. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to do after kind of these quick short updates in here was I wanted to continue on cleaning up some of these roads and making it so that there's no weeds or grasses growing through the road mesh. So just kind of cleaning this up around here, maybe placing some of the guardrails, also some of the electric poles that would go along the road. So yeah, let's get to it. I'm just gonna let some music play, and if there's any questions, I can jump on the microphone. Hey, Gurkan, welcome, welcome. How are you? Hopefully the music is not too loud and you can hear my voice. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I just came back from a little trip I took to visit some friends, for Easter. So, yeah, now I'm back. I got some other friends that I'm gonna be seeing today as well for a different celebration, but still, yeah. And just getting back into some of the stuff with um, just working on some of the level design today. Didn't have a lot of stuff to show. It was mostly just a little bit of kind of the conclusion of that tutorial that I just posted. Not sure if you saw it already with how I built my kind of the forest areas, and so that's kind of translated into how this thing looks now. And of course, it performs quite a lot better than before when I had some extra amount of tree, especially species of trees, which to me it didn't really add anything to the overall environment, and so yeah, those were some of the changes that I got to do before going on my trip. But and I just showed that a little bit off at the beginning of the stream. So now it's just a little bit of like I said, some level design. Trying to get some of that work in today. Oh yeah, yeah. I was trying to figure out a way to do that because without them, um, like without these and this particular decal, these corners could, they're not perfect because they're not set up uh, truly as I would have wanted them to. But yeah, right now they're not really placed. Let's try and place them a little bit better. But without them, it would just look kind of like that. So, with them, I think it looks a little bit better. But yeah, I was trying to get these placed a little bit so that it's kind of covering this road section here. Just trying to get them in as best as I can. So that looks that looks a little bit better already. Just trying to get these lines to blend together or kind of overlap as best as possible. And I think this here might be, let's see. Usually when I try to connect these roads, I try to connect them at like the spline points. So for example, uh, this right here, I would have liked it a lot better if it was connected like right in front of this one, because what you can do with these spline points, you can control the side fall off on the right or on the left. See, kind of like that. And I think that might help with this little gap here where um, the road seems like it's floating. So that's trying to see if I can adjust that as best as I can. Because that part is, let's try and actually do it from this point here. Okay, I think that's not really There we go. Okay, so that's better. And maybe do it on the right side as well. It kind of looks a little bit, that's a little too strong to have it at 0. So let's try and maybe not do it that hard. All right, but at least that helps a little bit with that floating thing. And, a little bit of a rock or something can be placed here, like, maybe we'll add some of the guardrails, and that should I think should help quite a bit. Yes. So let's see about these things here. So if I can make it use this decal to can't remember. Oh, I guess this end might work a little bit better. I couldn't recall which one of these was yeah, see, I'm not entirely sure if I should make it like that or if I should just cover it, you know? I think I'm just gonna cover it. So something like that. Well, you can, but they will need to have a sort order. So, for example, this one here has a higher sort order than this one here. So the one that comes into the road has a smaller sort order than this one. So that way, if I was to do this like this, see, it doesn't overlap on top of this one, this joint here. But if I set it to 3, then it's kind of on top of it. Now the only thing is that right here, there's kind of like this little edge. I should have maybe used a different, little bit of a different alpha. Um, so, but I think, one of the things that kind of irks me a little bit is that the little point is under the surface. So it's kind of, you have to go into wireframe mode to select it, but that's just me complaining. So yeah, there we go. I think that works out pretty good for this joint here. And of course, you're not going to be see it from an airplane. So, once at the road level, it kind of works out all right. I guess this particular these decals here could maybe they're probably seems like they're a little too dark. So, um, let's see if I can brighten up it a little bit. So okay, I think that's a little bit better. Okay, that can work. Yeah, maybe that's a little too much. So it's kind of just playing a little bit with some of these values there. Okay. And there's also like the potholes that you can add, especially for like these sections here. So for example, if we were to think of a pothole like a little patch decal. So I have a few that I'm using. Um, and actually, I'm just thinking now that I'm looking at this. I mentioned a while back that I'm using this I scatter tool to place these decals on the road. So let's try and make use of that around here as well. Oh, hey, Chatty, welcome, welcome. Yeah, doing good, doing good. I just got back. I mentioned it to Gurkhan earlier. I just got back from a quick trip for visited some friends for Easter, and now I'm back home. Um, Seeing some other friends today, but um, but yeah. was able to get a little bit of time to do the stream because I try to do it try to do it weekly and yesterday I was on the road so I couldn't really do much but yeah I'm hoping that I'm glad that some people joined and we'll see today it's probably going to be a little bit of just some level design and such. Yeah, so there we go. That's actually kind of, I'm pretty happy to be able to use this tool to place some of these kind of like the road crack decals on the roads in, in an easy fashion and not have to do it manually because that would have been a pain to do to place all these decals by hand and just making this spline follow the road as best as I can. I'm just gonna probably delete some of these points since it's already they're a little bit off. So yeah, there we go. We have some of these, and I was referencing these to try and cover excuse me to try and cover this kind of this kind of line here. But since they're um, dynamically placed, well, look at that. That actually a happy randomizer type of thing placing that thing there doesn't that turned out quite okay, I guess. So, just trying to move these a little bit to get a placement right there. Yeah, so this is this particular tool it can use, as I was mentioning earlier, it can use blueprint actor. So in my case, it's I'm using this just this simple blueprint that has an array of decal materials that that I'm setting a decal for. So in this case, my decal, I think I'm gonna do the sort order to be a little bit to be on top of everything else. So let's try it at 5. Let's compile that. All right, so see now it overlaps with all the other decals that are in the world. So especially, like the one that I just placed here to make that joint. Oh, and luckily these got placed pretty good right there to cover that because I had the little edge of this decal that didn't seem to quite work out so well with the rest of the road. So just trying to make that blend. And okay, there we go. So that turned out quite okay, I'm guessing. Doesn't looks quite all right. Yes, so let's add since I got this joint in. And I've cleaned up this road as well, kind of going this way towards that. Probably offline, I'm going to be doing um, some of the extending some of these splines to cover the rest of the roads. But for now, I wanted to also add some of the telegraph electric poles that I have placed in the level. And if you recall, we had like a transfer station over here. And I guess I need to paint the terrain a little bit more so we can get a little bit more trees around here. Because right now the trees are also painted based on where there's mulch. So there's like the mulch layer. So I can show you real quick how that is. I'm just gonna quickly save this. All right, so for example, right here, it's only like moss layer. So now let's paint some mulch. So I'm gonna paint some mulch around here. All right, and the mulch also should have some, has some grasses on it. But now what I'm hoping for, and let's see where else would I want to have some trees, a little bit more trees maybe. Like probably around here maybe, kind of right there. And this section here, especially where there's like the telegraph wires, I'm gonna paint that with just like the grass so that when I respawn the trees shouldn't be spawned on that. So let's paint that real quick. And I'm gonna increase the fall off, increase the size, And I'm gonna try and let's see where are they're kind of right around along this line here. Just kind of going like that. There's nothing spawning uh, on that path anyways, so that should be fine. All right, so let's try and respawn the trees. I think I might have been off a little bit. So now this one should have quite a bit of grass, just a grass layer on it, like right around here as well. All right, let's grab the tree. Let's see, that's the one. And this might take a little bit of time, so I'm just gonna save real quick. Let's resimulate this. And hopefully we'll get some trees spawned around in this area and then no trees along the telegraph wires. So there we go. We got a couple of trees down here, some trees over here, and this little thicket of wood. And then no trees kind of going down where the telegraph wires are because like it's only like the grass type of surface. That one I'm gonna try and remove, but yeah, so there it goes. And I guess I could also add a little bit more of that mulch layer around here to get some trees spawned over there, and maybe some around here as well. But yeah, there we go. Okay, so now let's get back into the telegraph wires, or I keep calling them that because I think the mesh itself it was called like a telegraph, but just these electric poles that I've created a while back. And I did get somebody reporting on the YouTube tutorial that they had a problem when they packaged the project. So I'm going to try and package my project as well to um, to see because they run into an issue with them. Like the cables were pointing into at a weird location in the world. So I'm going to try and do a package on this project as well. And also just to test the packaging because I haven't packaged it in a month or so. So yeah. Okay. One other thing that I wanted to share, especially when it comes to this IE scatter, is one thing that I was able to do is actually create the outline of a lake, of a pond, with a set of meshes that are kind of, you know, they relate to that, kind of pond outline or like a stream outline, like a little bit of a river. And that was I've managed to do that as well with this IA scatter because, like I said, it's I really like that tool. Okay, so yeah, I was talking about this little thing here, and I can actually start it from here because it's kind of coming out of the substation and just going into and servicing these locations down here, which are going to be, like there's there's the laundromat, the gas station, the motel is going to be right here, and I actually got it. Luckily, with those awesome sales that they have, I got it at a great discount, which was awesome. All right, well, let's bring this bring the electricity to the world, so to speak. And this is one thing that I was thinking about trying to make it on a spline, but was never able to find a proper way to do it. I'm sure there's a way, but giving the variables that I'm having with some of these, like random hang and maybe there's only two wires instead of three and so on. Couldn't really figure out a way to properly do it. So yeah, let's keep on moving these down here. Just going to place them at first and then link them. Now that I'm looking at this, just realized that I don't have the proper level selected. So let me do that real quick. And the one thing that I do need to pay attention to is that these particular guys here, they need to be on the same level. So that's one thing to think about, and it might cause a little bit of inconvenience because once when you grab this and you try to select the next actor, um, it needs to be in the same level. So for example, the ones that I've just added, they by default they got added into the persistent map. That's the one that I had selected. And now if I was to select one of these, like this one is in my substation level. But if I'm gonna get the next telegraph pole, I'm gonna try and get something that's like this one. It's not gonna be able to select it because it's in a separate level. So I'm gonna need to move these into the substation level. And that's one thing to consider, especially once the level gets really big. I want to keep these in a level as simple as possible, like this substation level, which is really um, a really uh, low number of actors level. So just so that I don't add too much draw calls. But then again, they could potentially be moved into just like the persistent world, like the um, but I'll test to see how that might make an impact. All right, so I'll get cracking with this. I'll just stop the mic and let the music play. If you guys have any questions again, I'll jump back on the mic. Oh, hey, Dark Side. Um, so I'm hoping to get kind of a pre-alpha, I would say. I'm not sure, but a version of kind of an initial build of the game. I'd like to have it in the next couple of months or so. Um, so hopefully before going, kind of sad, but before going on a, visiting some family back in Romania, and I'll definitely try to get that in. If not, after I get back. So um, again, it with me, it all depends on how work is. If it's like a really busy week, I'm probably not gonna get to do too much work, and so it's you know sometimes it's pretty tough to gauge. But at the moment, I'm in a pretty good place. There's like a couple of you know coming from like the world aspect of things. There's like this motel that I want to add. And maybe we'll do that today because I have it downloaded already. It's in. I've cleaned up that level, so it's ready to go. So maybe we'll just add that as well as we were working on these areas. But yeah, I'm hoping that, like I said, kind of a pre-alpha for people to test functionality. Kind of driving around the world, doing maybe one or two missions. Kind of just simple missions, not really related to the story as much, but maybe even dealing with some enemies. I'm trying to debate how to add that in. But like I said, I'm hoping within the next couple of months. I'm trying to go as hard at it as possible. But like I said again, um, life. So yeah, there's also like kind of the edging of the world that I need to put in place, and that's I think there it's a time-consuming aspect of things, right? I do enjoy it a lot, so that's I have to be honest about that. I do enjoy uh, the world building aspect of the game development. So I'm not I don't get bored. That's a big thing about this. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I'm hoping that it's gonna be worth it and it's gonna be enjoyable because I think that's the main thing. As long as it's enjoyable and people don't get frustrated with it. I think one of my main pet peeves when it comes to games is um, there's like multiple levels of gamers, right? And like I was playing this platformer game a while back and I really enjoyed it. Like, and I'm not a platformer kind of person, but I really enjoyed it. Uh, there was this one section in the game at one point that was so overly frustrating to me that I didn't rage quit, but I did quit. So I think that's um, you know, making a game that's at least, somewhat enjoyable, but also uh, doesn't involve or doesn't add kind of a frustration element as to, oh my God, either that um, and I get challenged, some things have to be challenging, but after some point, is it um it's not enjoyable to me, right? And I'm an average level gamer, I'm not an expert at anything, but yeah, once you introduce that level of frustration, it's kind of okay. I get it for like an expert person that plays an expert at an expert level platformer type thing and has that coordination, great. But I'm not that person, and I'm assuming that a lot of people aren't. And um, that's one of the things that I'm like trying to do, and not um, you know, to At least that's my goal for this project. But thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate that. So yeah, the plan is to maybe place it on like I think it's called itchy.io, itch.io, something like that, and get people to download it. I think the last time I did a build on this, it came in around 10 gigs. It wasn't a really big package anyways. So, the final game is probably going to be right around that area. Um, because when I built it, it already had pretty much all the levels that are going to be in. So size wise, I don't think it's going to be like some kind of a ginormous 50 gig type of thing. And of course, I'm not using nanite stuff or any kind of um, anything that would make this go to this to some kind of like crazy size. And of course, the game is a small scale as well, so it's not very big. I mean, the world itself is 2 by 2 kilometers right now, and I think for you have to also kind of keep it contained, I guess, for the size. Yeah. Right. So we've added some of these. Let's see. Let's continue to add a few more. So down there, down here. And I kind of try to make these cross the roads as well. I think having those wires kind of hang across the road. I kind of like that. Oh, yeah, you know what? I actually found something for that. And again, Sketchfab to the rescue because that's awesome. I was just about to get those in. I just didn't get I got in a little bit late last night and I didn't get in to download those signs. But there is this awesome thing on I can share with you with anybody if anybody else is interested. Um, Let me see. And I'm actually kind of excited about Sketchfab joining like with ArtStation and Marketplace into that Fab. I think it's called Fab, and that's actually kind of cool. But let me see if I can find that, share with you guys if you're interested. Let's see, where is the collections and where did I put that? 3D assets maybe? Oh yeah, so this is some of that. This is like that one package, it's just like warning street signs, and there's also this road signs. There's some amazing resources on Sketchfab, so thank you everybody that places stuff on there. So this one, for example, has a lot of cool things on it. Like all these signs, these kind of because I mean that's the main thing that I don't really have, like the street signs. Like stop and yield and um, you know and Um, they look great. Yeah, I know. There definitely is some of them, and but I just didn't get around to finding them, and I think I'm also kind of used to with Sketchfab and just going to Sketchfab and finding something. And I definitely want to share with you guys that little dynamic um, dynamic credits that I'm going to use, to credit all the Sketchfab authors because I think there might be some other tutorials out there that showcase that, but I couldn't find one that I could really follow easily. So hopefully this might be helpful to somebody. So I'm hoping to get that in sometime this following week or the next to get that tutorial in because as I'm approaching the pre-alpha of the game, definitely I definitely want to have that ability to put that queries at the end of the game. So like I said, being that it's dynamic, you can just add stuff to the data table, like the name of the author, the link to the Sketchfab asset, and um, I think there was another thing that I had added. But you can customize that based on your needs. So I feel that might be helpful to some people. All right, so I'm gonna stop. Actually, let's put a couple more in. And then one thing that I was trying to practice with is using the terrain spline to place the guardrail because the guardrail shouldn't sculpt the terrain for starters, and kind of the scale of it sometimes it's kind of a little kind of different to you have to gauge it, but we'll see how that's going to turn out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and finish this all the way to that what that's going to be like this little um, you know, t tunnel type of entrance, just like I've shown you previously. Just make this cross the road. And I feel like with the open world type of thing, having the trees actually grown on the specific landscape layer seem to me at least, uh, you know, um, seem to work out a little bit better than just have them spawn all over the place. And that was fine as well, but at least then to me, I kind of like it a little bit better to have some like open fields as well as kind of these foresty clumps of trees. I'm not sure if this this one's so far in up the hill that it's like touching the road. I try and kind of make two of them. That's a little bit better. All right. So with that in place, let's see how I mean, I'm guessing this doesn't really look too natural, like from a design standpoint. Where would you put that thing across the road? All right. Yeah, so let's take a look at I've done an attempt with the landscape spline guardrail right around here, I believe. So this one turned out okay. Um, and I'm fine with that. Like these particular items here. It's this one. Um, the scaling was a little bit off. I'm not entirely sure why that happens, but it did place um, the guardrail pretty nicely, so I'm happy with that. And also, to not sculpt the terrain, everything was set to like no fall off. The side fall off was set to 0. So I think that should work. It's mainly because it's a little bit easier placement when it comes to it. So what I'm gonna try and use it at is this section right here, kind of just going alongside the road. So let's give that a shot. Um, the one thing, I think it might be fine. Let's start somewhere around here. Okay, so shoot, I don't think it liked that very much. And will it crash? Because I've tried to do something that just multiple times click to place landscape points, and I guess it didn't complain too much about it, but as you can see, it placed a ton of points, and I think it linked them to the other place back there, the last plan that I had. So I'm gonna try and undo. Hopefully, it's not gonna crash. Let's see. All right, there we go. So now I'm gonna try and just click somewhere and then place a point there. There we go. So let's just try and follow the road. Whoops, not there. Let's place it here. I'm not sure how it decides to actually make these points, like kind of join these points, but all right, so I think it could end there. Let's select the segments and gonna add the spline mesh to be guardrail. Let's see, it's got to be the one from, I think it might be this one. Yeah, so see right off the bat, it's kind of throwing in this crazy scale. I'm not sure why. So let's go ahead and scale this to, I believe I had it as 0.01, 0.05, and 0.05. Let's see how that works. That's quite okay. I don't get it why it's like so clumped up together. Let's see. Well, I gotta go to the other one. And I wanted to also set these to 0 and 0. Let's see if I had a different axis for this one here. And it was X and Z, so I think that should be fine. It's point 0.1 and 0.05, okay. And so zero point 0.1 and 0.05, I'm gonna need to write that down. But then there's also like the side fall off and end fall off. All right. I think this was set to 0. Or maybe not. Well, let's try and adjust the scale as well. So this was 0.1. There we go. That looks much better. Though it's still kind of large, so but the scaling now at least is a little bit more proportional. Um, yeah, so I kind of like it when it's like a flat surface, flat terrain. But now looking at it, it looks I mean, it looks a little odd when it's also probably like the scale. I can probably make it a little smaller, but it looks a little odd when it's um, I think it curves a little too much. So let me get let's see where the start point is at. I'm gonna try and compare it to kind of the player with the player in the world. All right, so let's see. We're going into so it starts at the trailer park. Okay, I can use this one. It's pretty close by. And yeah, see, this is the reason that I don't want it to sculpt the terrain because it can do stuff like that. So I need to kind of copy from the other one. So yeah, right off the bat, this thing seems like it's a freaking gigantic wall over here. But I have the Nordic Forest level start. It's right there. Let's make sure this one is using that as well. Let's see if I'm loading all the levels. I'm loading the map. Okay, that's all I need. Whoa, that's a gigantic um yeah, that's a little big. Let's see if I can make it a little smaller. Because I have this option, as I was saying, and also the option with that eye scatter to use it like I was using it for fences. The only thing with that is that it doesn't shape the curve. So when it goes around a curve, it doesn't really adjust it. So that's why I kind of like this option. Let's see if I make this spline a little, the mesh a little smaller, and maybe that's not gonna show. That's what I'm thinking. It's not gonna show this kind of the curve in the actual metal work. All right, so let's take a look. I'm gonna try and get what the segments. Actually, I think I can control the size from here. Can I? I can't remember if I could. Um, this is something a little bit confusing. Is there's like control points and then there's segments, and it seems like you can add a mesh to the control points as well. So why? What's the purpose of the segments? Um, I mean, yeah, it's odd. So let me try and add this to the control points. Haven't tried this yet. See how this does. Oh, and it doesn't do so good. It's just like placing in that one spot. So I can kind of get the usage of it, but um, yeah, I'm guessing I'm gonna stick with the segments. All right, so let's do 0.02, 0.05, and 0.05. All right, so that's good stretching out that way. Let's see, can we make it so that it's a little smaller? All right, that's looking better. Or at least it's a little bit of a more decent scale-wise. But I think compared to the clear capsule, it's still kind of large. So let's try and make it a little smaller. So using the segments, let's try and make it about half of what it is. So 0.01, 0.01. All right, that's a little bit better. See if we can get it to not be so stretched out. All right, that looks quite a bit better. And given that the size is smaller now, that the bend doesn't look as bad. I still don't understand. This is like the one mesh that I had to like scale it like this. Not entirely sure why, but it works. So now let's see how it looks with the player on the world. That's definitely better. It's a little too small now, so let's kind of double it up. And so I think it was at 0.02, 0.02. Let me also check on the collisions for this particular mesh. I thought it had collision for whatever reason. Maybe not. Let's add a box simplified collision. Not entirely sure how this is going to be when um, where was the player collision? When it bends. Actually not too bad. That actually works out all right for the player collision as well. Okay. So let's try it out now. Okay. I can kind of see that size still a little big, so maybe something in between might work a little bit better. maybe somewhere at a 0.15. All right, yeah, I can live with that. I think that that looks natural, like natural enough. And now I just need to fix the, because right now it's sculpting the terrain, which I don't really want it to do. So let me see what I did for settings on the other one. Select all the control points. Um, it looks like I had the same settings as the other one. So this one I did set it to 0.01. And the fall off is 0. Yep. All right, so let's try setting that to 0.01. All right, where am I? Right here. Why did I think that was the one? Did I not get the right one? Or are these just, once you set the half width, are these so small that you can't see them? Oh man, I got such a poor memory. Let's just try and take a screenshot of what this is. So, oh yeah, it was the layer width ratio. Okay, so that one's 0.01 and the other one is just 650, so it didn't really change anything. And this one, for example, is at 1. Okay, so these are 650 and 0.01. Hey, Dimitar Dimitrov, welcome, welcome, and thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm happy you like it. I can't take credit for the assets because you know, I'm just one guy, so they are assets from the marketplace, which I really really love. Um, okay, so then what happened to my spline that I was going alongside this edge here? And by the way, welcome to the stream. Let's try and adjust this because now I believe we might know what this is at. So this one, control points, that doesn't really matter, but set the half width to something. Oh yeah, so I guess the half width does control the scale of the mesh. Really? Huh. So 100. Wow, that really doesn't make any sense sometimes. All right, anyways, so let's keep it at 1,000. I guess that's what we had for scale. And then this one, 0.01. Let's see if we're gonna get rid of it, sculpting the terrain. Didn't really seem to. All right, so there we go. That's better. It's not sculpting the terrain, but then now it's taking into account the scale that I've had here. So I'm gonna try and make it about 10 times bigger. All right, let's see how that fares. I think that's pretty close to where my to where I had it before. So I think this should be fine. Okay. Yeah, that's about the size that I see these guardrails be at, kind of right around hip where kind of like the hip of a human would be at. Okay. So that's fine right there. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And there's so many other hats, along with level designer that I totally have to wear. But it's a lot of fun, so that's the whole thing behind I think I kept mentioning it a bunch of times that that's the thing behind game design that it makes it so fun. So what's interesting is these half width scales, half width of this plan at this point. Uh, okay, if it might have made sense to the people that made it, but sometimes it just doesn't quite make sense all the way. Anyways, all right. So I'm just gonna try and position this kind of a little bit, just a little closer to the road. Um, and the odd thing with that is, with this half width, is that it also scales the part I don't get. It scales the icon as well. Why? I don't know. Oh, yeah, Dimitar, t totally. That's definitely it. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And there's also like kind of the taking inspiration from things that have been done. And a lot of the games that I have played and I take inspiration from are these games that revolve around kind of a world that people live in, right? Um, like I don't play any horror games, so I don't have a lot of like the atmospheric. There's some, I guess I've been told there's some atmospheric parts of the game and of the world that I'm building now. So, um, but yeah, like I said, a lot of the games that I play are like the types of Days Gone and Far Cry 5, the one that I played recently, that was very enjoyable. So that kind of I think you can see some of that in this world, especially at least in the exterior parts of it. Yeah, so this is really annoying. Let me see if I can select these control points and make this 500 because I'm having a hard time seeing where this. Yeah, see, this is I don't get this. Why would you also scale the icon? That is beyond me. So let's see if I can get this to zero point zero 0.01. Is that even possible? Apparently not. Because I'm trying to make it so it doesn't scale the terrain, right? So right now it's also scaling the terrain or it's sculpting it, even though let's set these to 0 as well. Let's see if those help. Not so much. Yeah, I was kind of hoping they will help, but it's all in this darn half width. Let's see if actually I haven't tried this, but it doesn't seem to do anything. No, I just don't want to sculpt the terrain. What's so difficult about that? But yeah, it kind of brings us back to this half width, which still didn't really help. Yeah, I can see it's still sculpting the terrain. So at 100, it's fine, but you can't see where it's uh, where the darn icon is at. So I can't believe nobody like tried this or like, hey Epic, why are you doing it like this? Um, yeah, so I would like to be able to use the spline for these, but it's just, especially when it comes to a flat terrain, not to kind of a sloped terrain, not a flat terrain. I think on a flat terrain it would work pretty well, but it's just a pain of positioning these control points. And let me try doing it one more time. So I'm gonna try and get these control points with this road, or maybe let's just do it individually, especially where the um, where the guardrail is gonna go. So for this one, let's make this maybe 5,000. All right, so at least that way it's spread out a little more and it doesn't have that really aggressive slope. And I can at least control it from on the left side, right? I mean, that's exaggerated, but you know, just to give it a little slope off the road. And then on the right side, at least the way we're looking at the road, because I'm not sure, it's probably like, I think it's where you start the first point and where you end. So I'm assuming like, uh, but it's still, again, I'm not entirely sure how what's the beginning and the end of the spline, especially I've placed this so long ago. But yeah, you know, like left side. If you look at it from this side, yeah, that's the left side. Okay. Yeah. So let's try and adjust that, kind of like that, just to not make too much of an aggressive slope. I can see that I have one of these trees that I need to edit a little bit to make it sink into the ground a little more. Um, okay, so now that point is it's got a little bit of a bigger side of a bigger fall off, but at the same time, let's try these ones as well. So this one, did we say 5,000? All right, so it's coping the terrain on this side a little too far. And I'm just going to try and make it back to where it was, to about there. So I think, I'm hoping this might help to place that guardrail spline points a little bit better. So let me click out of that and then just try and add ones around here, like right alongside this road. Hopefully it's not gonna mess it too badly. All right, to about there. Let's select the segments. And spline mesh is going to be our guard rail. And let's make sure that I'm getting the right one. I believe it might be this one. Yep, that's the one. With all that odd scaling. But I believe it was, did we say 0.01 for each one of these? I believe that one was the one that worked. Let's take a look. All right, so I think that's about where it's supposed to go. But now let's see if we can do the control points and do the half width at 0.01. And let's make these 0 for the fall offs. Didn't fall off. Yeah, it's still sculpting it pretty oddly. Let's do also the side fall off. So setting the half width helps a little bit, but it still sculpts the terrain. So unless I start placing each one of these points so that it either matches where each one of these points on the road are, um, and the one thing I don't get is like this part here. It did not work just now, and apparently it doesn't. Um, where I would hope that it would not scale the terrain, it would not raise or lower the terrain, but apparently, apparently it doesn't really do it. I'm not sure what this does, if it does anything. Apparently not. Yeah, that's a little bit of a pain. How did I do it over here? Because on this corner, it worked like a breeze. And it's still not, completely flat, but that is kind of interesting. So we have 650. So I'm going to try and use the same settings, though. Um, oh, one thing that I wanted to check on is where did I place the control points? So they are a little tighter together to some extent. Let's try this one more time. I'll give it the old last try thing. What's this one about here? I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna try it from, let's try and kind of pair them from here. There's one. I'm gonna do the next one over here. Let's try to, oops, keep them a little bit in sync if I can possibly do that. All right, to about there. Let me add the mesh. And I believe it was this one. Yep. Let's do the scaling. I think that was a little too small. We can adjust it later. All right, so there it goes. It's on the ground. And let's jump into the control points. 650, 0.01, then 0. Oh, that's totally odd. Why it worked on that side but not on this side? Okay. Well, we'll give it our best attempt. I am not entirely sure why it worked okay. It worked great on the other on that side, but not over here. I think the only way to kind of get it in place would be to try and adjust these spline points. But since this is kind of sloped, um, I'm not really seeing how well that might work. Mm. I mean, I guess that could do it, but it just messes it up down here. And yeah, and like I said, this half weight is totally half width is totally annoying because it just affects the size of that little I'm not sure if you call it widget, but this little icon. Like setting this really low, like the icon gets smaller. Why? Why is that? I don't get it. So that's odd. But that what that gives us is let's actually try using the try and select the control points if I can because this sometimes is also fidgety. Oh, I should not have joined them, but too late. Um, so I'm gonna try and use that IA scatter tool because I'm really liking that tool. And we'll see how it works, how it would work with this. Let me see. I'm gonna show this one level. All right, and I guess we went over 2 hours, so this is probably gonna be one of the last things to do before ending the stream today. I'm just trying to keep it at 2 hours so that way, it doesn't. Um, it's just not a continuous type of thing, and there's like new things coming into next week. So yeah, let's try getting in the using that ice scatter for the fence. See how that looks. And that one was on the town. So let's show the town real quick and hopefully grab one of those that's already been set. Come on. It's all loaded. I believe it's all loaded. There we go. All right, so let's get, I think I'm gonna be using this one. Let's see how this is gonna work with the landscape because there's also like the sloping aspect of things, which I'm not sure how it's gonna look here. Hopefully not too bad, but we'll see. Because with this one, actually, I didn't think of it, but with this one, I can set it so that it's aligned to normal. So maybe that should help with the positioning. So let's try replacing this with guard rail. There we go. Let's just adjust the rotation. Where was that? Like so. Okay, so it's just like kind of going along. It should have been flipped actually, like so. And align to normal. Let's see how that would do. Hey, Rolla, welcome, welcome. How are you doing? Well, I wouldn't call myself that, but appreciate that. Thank you. All right, let's see about this align to normal because I was kind of hoping that it was gonna, let's see, how does it, this align to normal is not really, Um, it's not really doing it. Let's try this out because I haven't tried these other settings with the instance look at. So I'm gonna do instance look at Z and then try and rotate these to see if they can get to a point that they would just follow the spline, but it doesn't really look like uh, the align to normal doesn't really work out so well. Oh yeah, I'm excited about 5.2 as well, but I think a lot of people are excited when they saw that demo with like the Rivian truck driving through the forest. I think that's what got a lot of people excited. I There was a lot of work behind that, so I don't think anybody, I mean, unless they're gonna make that project public for people to try it out, which I'm not sure if Rivian is gonna be too excited about. Um, there was a lot of work from what I can tell from some of the tools that they showcased and how they built that. There's a ton of stuff that they had to do to make all those little, like the additive and the subtractive nature of creating that jungle and how the kind of that river bed, so to speak. I think that's a lot of work behind that. I'm not sure if it's just as simple as, okay, you know what, add some meshes here and then remove some meshes here. I'm really excited to see how they or if they give any examples. But like I said, I don't think it's very simple. All right, so how can we get this in here with this tool? Kind of curious to see if it's even possible. All right, so the target is here. Let's do the target at 0. Look at target instance, look at Z. And these ones, I'm not entirely sure what to make of them. They seem to be aligned that way. Is it 30? Oh yeah, Niagara is actually really cool. I did find a pretty useful thing for like the birds in the Rural Australia project. I believe that's a free project. At least that's how I got it. But that are using Niagara for birds. And that's actually a really cool one. Actually let's drag one in here real quick since we're taking a look at and I'm struggling with this, and so I might just do it later on today. Um, but yeah, let's end up with this thing here. Let's add that little Niagara thing from the Rural Australia package. And of course, it's kind of an exotic bird, which I'm not going to use, but um, the this thing here is actually really cool. And let's see it. I think it just takes a little bit um, for the Niagara effect to kind of after I move it around. But yeah, there's birds. Excuse me. So yeah, there we go. That's I think a really really good useful use of Niagara. and there's not gonna be like cockatoos in the game, like or parrots or whatever these. I think they're some kind of parrot type species. But yeah, just having that in place is, I think, would be pretty useful. Of course, there are going to be probably some crows or some kind of more of a northern climate type of birds. But yeah, these actually look pretty damn nice. Having this Niagara thing in here. So yeah, well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to to get this to align to the normal properly because I mean it would work without it, but I think it's not gonna look, as good. But let's see, what was it? I don't want it to look at target. Yeah. So I was hoping to get this to try and get it so that it follows it aligns to normal, and I'm gonna see if I can get it so that it follows the terrain as well, because it looks perfect for fences, but we want to have this kind of go along with the terrain. And yeah, let's see, was there anything else here that I could have had? Um, Not really. I think it was just that aligned to terrain that um, would have worked. And of course, there's like a little bit of a actually no, there's like the spacing I believe that it was that I needed to have. So yeah, that's a little bit of an update from and a little bit of work that we did today. But I hope to have a lot more by next week and to go on, and maybe we'll be able to do a full drive across the map and to onto some of these locations. I'm going to try and also build the hierarchical LOD information and see how that would do it. Oh, Dimitar, yeah, the the spacing definitely should. It's more of because that's adjustable. My main thing is this thing being aligning to normal properly, and I still have to work out some of these settings down here, where I'm setting it to align to normal. So hopefully I'm gonna have something by next week to show off for this particular one, since doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to use the landscape spline. I'm going to do a little bit more investigating in the landscape spline as well, because I would have liked to use it. It's pretty convenient, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Um, so thank you so much everybody for stopping by. I hope that was a little bit of something interesting. Um, where you got to see. And hope to see you next week. So in the meantime, have a great week coming up. And I'm over here. It's pretty gloomy. There's just gonna be rain for the next couple of days. So I'm gonna be inside and hopefully working on this and getting something going here for these. Yeah, thank you guys again. Cheers, Dimitar. Heavens, thank you so much. The sun before Soul Bore's black hole. Thank you so much for stopping by. All right, goodbye, everybody. Take care.